All right, guys. So, welcome to another podcast. We actually got Brent with us today.
What's up, man?
Good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to start today's off with some of our questions that our members have on the whiteboard. So, first one, is the WOD enough? What do you think? So, I'm assuming enough in general, like they don't need to do anything else to reach their goal.
Right.
I don't know.
Is the WOD enough? And I think you're right. I think that depends on what your goals are. Like if you are just looking to be generally fit, absolutely. Absolutely, the WOD is enough. Now, if there's like a specific skill that you're trying to accomplish, you probably need a little bit of extra work outside of that. You know, if you're looking for a strength bias, might need to do a little more strength work outside of the workout of the day.
Right. I think it definitely depends on the goals. So, general fitness, overall health, the WOD is definitely enough.
Absolutely.
It's plenty, to be honest with you.
Yep.
If your goal is to compete, it can still be enough, honestly. If you give it everything you got to the point where you're laid out at the end of the workout, it's plenty.
Right.
To do extra should be more or less honing a skill, I think.
Correct.
But yeah, the WOD is plenty. You do the strength hard, you do the workout hard, that's plenty.
Absolutely. I agree.
If you just enjoy working out, I guess that's one thing, and you want to do some extra, by all means, go for it. But the WOD itself, that's all I do. That's all you do, pretty much.
That's all I do.
Oh, there's some accessory stuff every now and then.
Every now and again. And if you need some extra help, get with a coach for some individual work.
If you want to get better to snatch or any high skill movement, it might be better to have some expertise to help you with that. All right, next question. This one's kind of funny, but it's very relevant. What does BRAH mean? So BRAH not in like what a woman wears, but with an H at the end. So BRAH.
As in bro, but BRAH?
Yeah.
What does BRAH mean?
What is its origin? So if I remember correctly, I mean, how long? This is a long time now. It's probably like 3 years this word's been hanging out. I'm pretty sure Clint and Chaz Michaels, realtor, went skiing in Utah or something. I can't remember. They went to Colorado, met some people that said the word BRAH a lot, so they brought it back here. And ever since then, it's just been a word that's kind of stuck. I don't know. And it's just kind of fun to say. If you're one of those people that wants to say it, just say it. Like, you don't have, there's no club. There's no BRAH club. You might even hear the word BRAH. Hey, BRAH.
Hey, BRAH.
That's more of a southern slang, I think, version of BRAH. But I think its origin, actually I looked it up, is Hawaii. I think they use BRAH a lot. Yeah.
BRAH?
Yeah.
I like it.
But they're like really big, husky guys, so
so you may
call you what they want.
When you walk in the door, if you hear somebody say, "Hey, BRAH," whether you're a guy or girl, they're just saying, "Hey, how are you today?"
Yeah. No offense.
How's the day been going? You know, we're just short for, "Hey, BRAH." Lay it out there for us. Tell us what's been going on.
All right, so next question.
I can't believe that's on the board.
It's very, very relevant, though, seriously. Some people are like, what are they talking about? Now, this is another one that some people might have heard, maybe not. If not, we'll kind of explain it too. But it says, who is this sniper everyone talks about? Where is he or she from? It's a joke, but I think it's serious.
I'm not sure we should talk about this on the podcast. A sniper could get you.
So it's not a out to kill you sniper. It's a out to sabotage your workout. So I think he's got some kind of like venomous dart, from what I hear.
Yep.
He shoots it at you in the middle of the workout, whether you're doing handstand push-ups or maybe thrusters or burpees, and it hits you, and you literally start falling apart.
Yeah. I've been sniped way too many times.
So I guess it's just a way of saying you didn't pace right. and the sniper got you.
Yep.
And you just kind of fell apart the rest of the workout. So it's kind of a joke when you're doing really good. Maybe you come out really hot in the workout and you're feeling good. Maybe you cross the 400-meter run, you get back, you knock out your 21 thrusters, and you got to do your 12 bar facing burpees, and all of a sudden it gets you right in the neck.
Sniper hits you.
And you're on burpee number 10, and you're like, you feel like you're dying. I think that's the sniper, which people are referring to.
Yep, I agree. So if you've been sniped, welcome to the club. We've all been sniped.
Definitely. All right. Next question. How do I? So these questions are kind of funny this time.
This is good.
Very relevant.
This is good.
How do I get my snatch as pretty as Brad's? So Brad Perry, that is. He's been with us for a really long time. That's probably why it's so good. If I sound sarcastic, it's because I'm being sarcastic.
I'm being serious, Brad. You're amazing.
Maybe the person who wrote this question was serious. I don't know. Because they maybe overheard Coach Pam, at one point. So just a little background. I usually get on Brad about his snatch. He's usually doing a lot of things wrong. So I try to tell him, but he doesn't listen very well. Well, one time, Mom was coaching him, and she told Brad he had a beautiful snatch.
That was the word she used, beautiful.
It was, exact words. So ever since then, I guess I was wrong about what I said about Brad's snatch, and it's textbook. So to get yours as pretty as Brad's, here's some things you need to do. You don't need to lock your elbows out as soon as your feet land. And sometimes when you're maxing out, you got to land on your toes.
Right.
I call them twinkle toes when he does that. But evidently that's the right form. I don't know. And then you either miss it or you catch it. Sometimes he's caught it on his twinkle toes.
Even have to chase it down every now and again.
Yeah.
Walk it out.
So if you're looking to get your snatch springs brass, the key is don't lock your elbows out real quick.
Right.
Be kind of slow with it, and then land on your toes.
And whatever Austin tells you to do the opposite.
Don't listen. I've given him this cue where your feet land and your elbows lock out, and he makes fun of that, which I understand because he knows what he's talking about. And I think this is the only time we'd be willing to do this, to let you get some personal training from a member. If you want to get better at your snatch, we'll allow Brad to come in and work with you one-on-one.
We love you, Brad.
All right. So, next question. This one was funny. I have never seen this, but does anyone else see a guitar on the bathroom floor? I don't see it. I hadn't looked. Maybe I'm just not creative when I look at the floor. I don't know. Or not observant.
Yeah, I haven't seen a guitar on the bathroom floor.
I think it's not a little guitar, but I think it's
like a ukulele.
If anybody should know, it should be me and Brent, because we personally did those floors. Like,
yes,
we grinded the glue and stuff off of those floors. So maybe we drew the guitar.
Maybe we did.
With the grinder and the acid stain that we put on it. All right. So I don't know what style it is, but I don't know.
I'll keep looking
for that.
Yeah, I'll keep
Let
looking
us know
for
if you see it. Someone wrote yes beside that. So. All right. What is the correct way to take weights off a barbell? That's good.
Oh my goodness. We should do a video about this. The correct way. The incorrect way.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to describe it.
There's a lot of incorrect ways. Deadlifting the bar, tilting to one side, letting the weight slide off, and then it's slingshotting you back the opposite way. Incorrect.
That is probably okay if you got 10s on the bar.
Yes.
But if you have like a 45 or even a 25 or higher, it goes one way and then it throws you the other way.
That is incorrect. Another incorrect way is any form of getting the plates off the bar and letting the barbell drop and crash to the floor. That is also incorrect.
Very. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yes.
To me.
Yes. I don't know. I might try to describe this without showing you. Maybe we could do a video about this same barbell etiquette. But you have the barbell. You got weights on each side. You grab from the center ring of the plates and you slide them off while you're holding the bar in one hand so it doesn't crash. Then you can stand it up like a flagpole, and the other weights are on the ground, and you just slide the barbell right out of the center.
Just make sure you take your other collar off.
Right, make sure the clamps are off.
Why are these weights stuff? Sing that so many times. Oh, you need to take your collar off.
So that's the best way I could describe it verbally. You might need a visual out there for all you visual learners. Just
Ask the coach.
It's just as long as you don't let the barbell crash and you don't get slingshotted to the other side of the room, I think you're okay at taking the weights off any form you can get them off. So,
it kind of goes back to an empty barbell. No part of an empty barbell, so if there's no weights on the barbell at all, should ever just free fall to the ground.
From 1 inch, 1 foot, or above your head, ever.
And I think the reason why people don't notice when you do it is because to you it's not very loud. I don't understand why. There's probably some science behind it, but in sound waves. But to everyone else, everyone's like, it's like the record skipped and everybody just stops and looks to see who it was. Yeah. So not to call her out, but Patricia, she knows, she might be listening to this. She dropped the empty barbell in a class of like 10 people, and I'm pretty sure everybody turned and looked at her to see what in the world, and she's like, yep, I'm sorry. So it was funny because I know she didn't mean to, but intentionally doing it, and the reason being is, one, it doesn't sound good to anyone who hears it, and two, it's actually really not good for the barbells, like the bearings and things like that. Just not good for it.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right,
we're having some fun with this one.
Yeah. All right, this one's good. How do you know if your metabolism is speeding up or slowing down? What's the best way to boost your metabolism?
I'm gonna let you take this one.
Okay, so usually it depends on if someone's like nutrition. When someone is in a calorie deficit for a long period of time, I say long, like I would say 3+ days. That's actually a long time, depending on your deficit. Once you're in a deficit, your body's built to adapt. So if you're in a deficit for over a week, some people go really long times, basically your metabolism starts to adjust accordingly. So it's like, I'm not eating much, so your body's going to adjust to where it's not burning up fat as much, and to be more efficient with the food you actually give it. So what happens is your metabolism starts to slow down. So usually signs to know is, one, you've been in a caloric deficit for a long period of time. I would say a week or more. It's more than likely it's going to slow down. 2 is like if you're feeling tired. If you're eating the same amount for a certain period of time and you're not as energetic, more than likely your metabolism's slowing. Ways to boost it: eat more. That's one way. I'm not saying overeat, but I'm saying eat more. Or if you're in a deficit, if you are trying to lose weight, that's why you hear some people say after about a week or 2, it's not a bad idea to do like what they call like a refeed day, which is basically eating a lot more carbs than usual. That's almost like a refeed to kind of like jolt your body to throw it off. That's basically when it's starting to adjust to this metabolic rate. You give it a surplus of calories, all of a sudden it's like it just kind of throws it off a little bit. So best ways to boost it is to eat a little more, or have like a refeed day, like maybe once, if you're trying to lose weight, maybe like once or twice every 2 weeks. And then 2, CrossFit workouts. Like that's the best way to the WOD, like just the WOD. You start adding workouts to the workout or to the WOD, you probably won't be eating enough. It's really easy to get almost like this lag feeling because at that time you don't really know how much you should eat. Not unless you know a lot about nutrition, you'll tend to not eat enough. Then over, a week, you're starting to crash your workouts. You're not performing as good, things like that. So do the WOD. That'll help boost your metabolism. Don't be in a calorie deficit for too long. Try to get a refeed.
Cool.
That's my 2 cents on that. All right, so today, if you know Brent, you see him around the gym. He works with a lot of people with joint ailments, muscle imbalances, or muscle pains or anything like that. So we're going to kind of get into that, and then we'll just kind of go what Brent's able to do for you if that happens to you. So basically we're talking about joint injuries or joint pain and like muscle injuries, muscle pain, things like that. So CrossFit, why it works is because it's functional movements, right? So your body is made to do functional movements. So if you're in a workout, you should be able to do every movement we do pain-free.
Correct.
Now, if not, there's a couple reasons why. So let's say you're doing CrossFit and there's some nagging things going on. Usually I say most common are like elbow, shoulder, hip, low back, and knee.
Knee, yeah.
Most common. So one thing is usually maybe a previous injury, maybe back in the day, playing sports or whatever. Maybe you're in an accident, car accident, something happened at work. Some kind of like acute injury to a joint. Or which kind of creates some kind of an imbalance. The other one is just like improper movement. So like doing a clean wrong or a shoulder overhead wrong or a deadlift with bad mechanics, things like that. Or their range of motion is lacking. So like they can't get in a good position in the front squat or the deadlift or whatever before they pick the bar up. Mm-hmm. Or it's just a combination of both of those. So what should you do basically if this is you? So you got some issues, maybe some muscle imbalances, joint issues, things like that. Now, I will say this before we get started. If you don't have any of these issues, keep listening because we got something for you too. So just keep listening. So this applies to everyone. All right. And I'll give an example of myself of why that is. So let's say they come in, they have a previous injury, some kind of imbalance. Let's call it like the one I get the most is probably most people have had some type of knee pain to an extent, and I think you can resonate with that. Mm-hmm. Coming in to work out, what are some things they can do just to prevent furthering that pain or to actually get it better? If they're just coming in to work out.
Do we know it's hurting them or bothering them now, or has it surfaced yet?
But most people, I think, it's surfaced in the past, and it only bothers them sometimes. But if they've done some strength or any kind of working out in the past, it tends to get better. Mm-hmm. So what are some things they can do just in a class to just prevent it?
Prevent it. Inside of a class.
So it's supposed to be scaling back weights or the range of motion or both or what?
I think it's a combination of that. Check the volume of how many, say if we're using the knee pain, for example, how many times have you squatted that week?
Right.
That's one thing we can check the volume. Another is to slow your movement down. Mm-hmm. Let's not move as fast. It can still be intense, but let's slow it down a little bit and concentrate on the eccentric or the down phase of that squat. And then, there are some times where, hey, we ask you to squat below parallel because you should have healthy enough joints to be able to squat below parallel. There's some days that, hey, let's not go that low. Mm-hmm. Let's cut the range of motion down and keep you at parallel.
Yeah.
And there's some reasons behind that, and we won't go into that today. But yeah, slow it down, drop the weight, decrease the range of motion, and maybe check the volume for that week and see how many times we squat and see if we can't sub something else for that movement.
All right, so now let's go into like someone with just some improper movement patterns. So like maybe they're just, and we can use the knee pain for example.
Okay.
Maybe they have some bad mechanics, or maybe their knees come in a lot when they squat, or their knee goes really far past their toe and they come up on their toes a little bit when they squat, or like it's just like a range of motion thing. So like we'll go 2 examples. We'll do one where, what if you have someone who's experiencing knee pain in a class, and their knee looks really unstable. So when they squat, their knees come in a little bit, then they go back out as they stand. What are some things you can give them in a class setting that they can do to kind of, we'll just call it, that's what's causing their knee pain.
Okay, and so just tracking the knee, tracking in and out. Inside of class setting, say we're coaching them something. Again, slow the movement down.
Yeah.
Sometimes moving too fast can cause us to get out of position. So just, hey, we'll have you slow the movement down, and then we may just concentrate on. Let's take the focus off, because a lot of times we get the cue, hey, knees out, right? But we could ask them to focus on something else. We could focus on the feet. Hey, let's try to squat this time. We're going to slow you down, but I want you to concentrate on squatting while keeping an arch in your foot. You know,
that's good.
So the knees tracking in and out, it could be that the arch in the foot is collapsing, the ankle's collapsing, causing a knee collapse. Yeah. So we can say, all right, let's just shift the focus down to the feet, and let's have a strong arch in our foot while we squat, and then slow it down and see how that helps the knee.
Yeah, I like that. And I like the drill we did in warm-up today where knees were in the band, and while we were squatting, and you're just literally trying to spread the band out the whole time. Because I feel like there's like always a point, especially when there's some movement, mechanical issues, there's like a point where there's like a transfer of where you're utilizing power, like muscles, and during that transfer it's like a lack of tension.
Right.
So it's like that's usually people will compensate by letting their knees cave in as they kind of like transfer to their hamstrings or whatever.
And I do that.
Yeah.
I do that when I'm squatting fast, so we're catching some squat cleans, some squat snatches, and it just, and you're doing touch and goes. I do that. I lose tension at the bottom of the squat. Knees are coming in and out, so I have to refocus on, hey, when you get to the bottom, you're going to have to fight for that good position. Yeah.
It's literally like almost rewiring your brain to not let your knees come in. Not necessarily push out, because you probably think you are, because it's like for a split second you don't. So if you just think my knee's not coming in, then maybe you'll keep them out. I don't know.
What I've noticed when I do that is not necessarily focusing on my knees. How do my feet look when I land in the bottom squat? Are my feet turned out? Or are they turned out, if you're looking at a clock, are they turned out to a 2 o'clock position? Or can I shift them back into more of a 1 o'clock position, and I can have a more stable base when I squat there? And it usually corrects that pattern and where that knee is going.
And I'd like going to that, it's like the more your foot is turned out, the harder you're going to have to push out your knees. So the more your toes turn in, as long as you got the mobility, it's kind of easy to keep that knee out.
Yep.
All right, so now we got someone with just range of motion issues. So first word I think of, Jeff. Jeff in a deadlift, his hamstrings are really tight, so that's where we're coming to like a range of motion issue. So if, let's just say we're doing deadlifts, and usually he does okay. I hesitate saying this, but a somewhat rounded back isn't completely unsafe under certain loads, but that doesn't make it right.
Correct.
So if he's doing deadlifts, let's say we're doing a max deadlift. Well, that's when it's pretty unsafe. what are some things you would give them or tell them to do to almost fix it or to prevent something from happening?
Yeah. We've tested Jeff before, and I can't remember if he was able to reach the floor or not, just standing with legs straight, bending over and touching the floor.
I remember.
So something that we can do with him is we need to decrease the range of motion. Mm-hmm. So one thing is we can change the stance from a conventional deadlift where your feet are underneath your hips to more of a sumo stance. Mm-hmm. Feet are outside the shoulders, and that cuts the range of motion from the floor.
Yeah.
He might be able to get in a better position that way. And then also we can raise the floor up to him. Mm-hmm. So if we, and you've seen some others do this before, where you put some bumper plates underneath of them and it raises it up, and they can get into a better position that way.
Yeah.
Due to lack of flexibility or mobility issues. And that can usually correct the most important part of the deadlift, which is that neutral spine, being able to maintain that throughout the lift.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I like the sumo. The sumo is definitely a temporary solution to, because you want to come here and work out.
Right.
That's the bottom line. We'll get to that in a second. But at the same time, you still want to get better too. It's kind of like you can't get better at overhead squats by avoiding overhead squats.
Right.
You can substitute back squats one day, but you can't always substitute back squats, because then you're never working on overhead squats. Speaking of overhead squats, we had that today, and I didn't see a lot of people here.
I wonder why.
Don't make any sense to me. I love them.
They're good.
All right. So I get into a class. I do these things. I approach the coach several times, and I'm still kind of battling. Like, my range of motion isn't getting any better, or I'm still kind of got this shoulder thing when I do pull-ups. When a person comes in, they're always, you can always ask the coach. We're willing and capable to give you substitutions and things on the spot, but we don't like to do. I'm just letting you know, because we got a ton of other people we're trying to help move better in the positions and movements that we're coaching that day. So to come up with something else for you to do that prevents you from whatever's going on with you that we didn't know about until like 2 seconds before the workout, we can do it, but it's not going to be as good as what it could be. Mm-hmm. A time or two, no problem. But if it's like every day for a couple weeks, that's why Brent is really good at what he does. He's basically has a structure program where you tell him what you got. He takes you through an assessment. I'm going to let him explain that. And then he basically will program your workouts, and he knows our workouts ahead of time, like a week out. So it's really easy for him to look at the week and say, if it's knee, it's like, you're not squatting as much, this is what we're going to do. And you have a set workout. So you can tell the people that do work with Brent, they know exactly what to do when they come to class. And they might just tell the coach, hey, Brent's got me doing this today. And it's easy. So Brent, just kind of tell us a little bit about, what you can do for people with certain elements and things like that.
Yeah, so it all depends on how long that issue has been going on. Mm-hmm. Like, if it's a week or so, all right, let's give it some rest. Rest that joint or that muscle for, I like the 2 week mark. Let's rest it for 2 weeks and avoid anything that causes discomfort. And in the meantime, I will give you 2 little corrective workouts to do in that 2 week period. And then when we come back to it, if it's better, cool. Go back to your originally scheduled program.
Yeah.
If it's you rest for 2 weeks and it's still bothering you, I schedule a time and we come in and we assess and we screen that particular individual, and we go joint by joint, and we'll do full body, because you don't know, sometimes a shoulder issue can be caused by something in the hips or low back.
Right.
It could be a strength imbalance from your legs are so strong that you're getting weight above your head that your shoulders are too weak to handle. So, the body is an amazing thing, but we assess it joint by joint. We test your flexibility, we test your mobility, and we even do a strength imbalance test to see what may be causing that. And then we take the lowest hanging fruit from that test and we start correcting that through a structured, individualized program, whether it be face-to-face work or remote programming. And that's the process I take through with that.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing about it is, since Brent has been doing this, is the fact that if you come in, you have a shoulder issue, elbow issue, knee issue, you don't have to stop working out.
Right.
Basically, he keeps you working out, and that's the goal. I mean, nobody wants to literally stop, but he keeps you in the gym in a class setting for the most part, unless you're working one-on-one. So you're literally still part of the class, and you're doing something similar. I think that's the coolest part, is he offers a solution to get you feeling better, meanwhile still coming in to the class, participating in class, but you know exactly what you should and shouldn't do. And for the most part, what I've seen, people have had a lot of great results from it.
I have, yeah. And it's because of not me, it's them putting in the work.
Right.
You know, I love that they trust me to help them, but it's their consistent work that they put in each time they come in the gym, and they're helping themselves. So it's been cool. It's been really cool. This new role.
All right, so we'll finish up with, I said we had something for the people that don't really experience any, muscle joint pains. You kind of feel like Superman right now. I say right now because there's so a little background for me is like I focused when I first started CrossFit. It was like I was so worried about rounding my lumbar spine that I was just made sure my back was flat. I was like flat back, flat back, flat back. So everything I did, I mean, when I bend over now, it's like my back looks completely straight. Now, what I didn't know, I had this reoccurring back injury that would happen 2-3 times a year. And it will put me out for like anywhere from like 3 days to like a week and a half or something. To the point where I could barely do push-ups, things like that. Could not understand what in the world was going on. Over the years, done some learning, and I found out my flat back was actually an overextended lumbar. So basically, I was exaggerating my lumbar to try to keep my back straight. The root of it was my thoracic spine. This is the kind of stuff you find out with Brent doing his assessment. This was like before Brent did all this. Unfortunately, I wish he had done it a couple years ago. He could help me out sooner. But I had to kind of do some trial and error stuff for myself. But what I learned was my thoracic spine didn't have good extension, so I was compensating my lower back. Anyway, what happened was front squats, back squats, deadlifts, kettlebell swings, any like shoulder overhead movements, the lack of thoracic extension, I would compensate in my lower back. So when I would do my kettlebell swings, my back looked straight, but I was actually a little bit overextended. And what happens over time, I was like building up inflammation, and all of a sudden it would just kind of give. And then I get in this like protective position where I get kind of like twisted, because this is like a safe position for me. And I know we talked about this last week, but I remember coming and showing Brent chassis. It was like 3 years ago, maybe. I was like, look, I lifted my shirt, and it was just...
Yeah. You were so off.
Yeah. It was... but anyway, but that came from a subtle flaw in my movement. To the naked eye, it just looked like I was doing everything perfect, honestly. But I was just overextending. So, like, overextending in a squat, it's kind of easy. Overhead, you're just kind of leaning back a little more than you should. The squats and deadlifts, it was literally coming from not keeping my abs turned on. So basically, I would stand up to deadlift, boom, and my abs are just, my core was tight, but my abs won't necessarily like turned on. So my hips will get dragged forward every time, and that my sacrum and my L5 were just kind of making a little bit of contact. Each time I did it, it was like a little bit of inflammation, then all of a sudden it's just like too much, sets off a nerve, and then muscles kind of tweak and ratchet down and relax and spasm. So that's one subtle movement that a lot of people do. If you hear one of us coaches come up to you saying like, hey, try to keep your abs turned on, this is what we're trying to prevent. These are like long-term like these subtle movement flaws are like the long-term injury or ailments that you'll get that you're going to be like, I don't understand what happened. And you'll just, like for me, I was like, maybe I squatted wrong or I was just tired, but it was just a long compound effect over days, overextend, and all of a sudden one day it just kind of went off on me. Mm-hmm. So that's one, overextending. So we'll try to cue that. We're just trying to keep your abs turned on. We'll tell you what you're doing. You're overextending. Just keep your abs turned on. It's a game changer, total game changer for me.
If a coach says stay tight, that's a quick way of saying turn your abs on while you're in the middle of a movement. So if you've ever heard a coach say stay tight, they're trying to get you to do that without being too wordy and you trying to think about what we're trying to say while you're moving load. Mm-hmm. So stay tight. What they really mean is, hey, turn your abs on, squeeze those things as hard as you can.
And you know what was funny? That what got me was long time ago learning that abs weren't the core, or
right.
If you turn your abs on or you flex your abs, that's not keeping your core tight. So it's like I just kind of was like, all right, abs have nothing to do with the core, and I think that's what got me over the long term. So we're here trying to prevent it, learn from our experience.
Right.
Don't do that. Another thing, there's like two different things, or two more. Chicken wing and muscle up. We talked about that on our last podcast. You might not feel anything yet, but you will. It's happened every single time.
Yep.
Learn from other people's mistakes. Don't learn from your own mistakes if you can prevent it. But the chicken wing muscle up, the one arm up first. Yes, it's easier when you're tired, or yes, it's easier in general, but the long-term effect, that compound effect over years and years, because in the moment you're like, I don't care, just trying to get this muscle up.
Yeah.
But long-term effect of that is it's not going to be good. Not for the shoulder. It's just a bad position on the shoulder, y'all. Yeah. You might not feel it yet, but you will, and it might show up in another workout, shoulder overhead workout or something. But it could have been from the bar muscle ups you did the other day, kind of thing.
It's a bad position for that shoulder. Mm-hmm. If you want to know why, it creates a lot of slack in the shoulder when you're here and you're hanging on the bar with your body weight. Over time, your shoulder can't handle that amount of force when there's that much slack inside the joint. So go both arms at the same time.
Yeah. And it goes back to imbalance. Like it'll create this super big imbalance between your two shoulders. Well, one's going to be in a good position because it's still waiting back here in a good position. The other one's just like, it's just not going to be good. Last one is just the lumbar or your back. I would say lumbar. Let's go like very lowest back, right before like the middle of your back to your butt, starting to round off. And I think you can attest to this one. Usually those people go from, let's say, if they're doing a high rep deadlift to a run or box jump, first thing that happens is what?
Back locks up.
It just gets tight.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that it kind of goes back to like changing your stance, like the sumo stance, like you were talking about, the sumo deadlifts. If you're doing deadlifts and it fires it up, and also raising the floor. Adding some plates to try to prevent that, especially if it's something where you're bending over a lot. Even today's workout. Today's is like 5 snatches, 5 snatch balance, 5 squat snatches, 5 overhead squats. My lumbar, like I said, we talked about earlier, I worry about overextending, not like rounding off. So I didn't feel anything in my back. But Brent having some previous lumbar curvature, he might struggle a little more. I don't know. I know it's gotten better, but if he's done a lot of like hinging over the week and he goes into a workout like this, he's got to be really conscious of trying not to let his lumbar round off.
Yep.
If not, it's going to be, and it might not be today. It's that compound effect. He might feel it tomorrow. Whenever, I don't know what we're doing tomorrow, but let's say we're doing front squats and his back's lit up and he don't know why. It's probably from today. Maybe his lumbar was rounding off a little bit.
Yep.
So, keep the question coming. We got our anniversary coming up Saturday.
Will this podcast be out before then?
No, good question.
Huh.
So if you're listening to this,
and you didn't come on Saturday,
it's the Monday after our anniversary.
Shame on you.
You missed a good brunch.
Yeah.
Because there was probably nothing but paleo items there.
Paleo donuts.
I don't know if we did the burpee challenge or not, but we joked about having a burpee challenge after the brunch. And I was completely joking, but I feel like if Ryan's there, he'll probably do it.
Oh, yeah.
And some crazy other
I think we should do a donut and burpee challenge. Eat a donut, do a burpee, come back, do it. Yeah.
What we'll do, we'll find the equivalent. So it's like how many burpees equals one donut. That way we'll make sure we're balanced here.
I'm eating donut holes.
Life is about balance, y'all.
That's right.
All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Brent, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man.